It is a huge thing, and I want you to celebrate it as if you have just won a world record-setting Olympic gold medal. Have you ever replayed a conversation in your head and thought, wow, was she upset with me? Or maybe you've caught yourself wondering if the way you do something is weird just because it doesn't look how someone else does it. Our deep awareness can sometimes lead us to misinterpret, overthink, or take things personally. But here's the truth. Tone isn't always about you. Different doesn't equal wrong, and sometimes what feels personal really isn't at all. In today's episode, I'm sharing 4 simple but powerful perspective shifts that can help you let go of self-blame, ease the overthinking, and calm the inner conflict. Hey lady, welcome to the Highly Sensitive Woman podcast. Do you struggle with self-doubt, setting boundaries, or feeling overwhelmed? My name is Alyssa, and I'm a highly sensitive woman who spent years trying to fit in, ignoring my own needs, and living in constant fear of disappointing others. But I finally discovered the power of embracing who I am, and now I don't feel so broken. In this podcast, you'll learn to find your voice, set boundaries, and live with bold confidence and inner peace. Grab a cozy blanket. It's time to connect with someone just like you. It is episode 26 of The Highly Sensitive Woman, and I am absolutely elated because did you know that only 1% of podcasts make it to 26 episodes? I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart to all of you who have listened and shared and reviewed. And if you haven't left a review or shared, would you please just take a couple minutes and leave a review so that other highly sensitive women, or maybe those who don't consider themselves highly sensitive, and there are also some men out there listening, I have heard from you too, but so that others can benefit from these messages. And I want to start with a review from InFree10. I don't consider myself a highly sensitive woman, but I have found parts of each episode that have resonated with me. I highly recommend listening, even if you don't consider yourself as such, because you never know. And InFree10 is right. You never know what might resonate with you, even if you don't consider yourself a highly sensitive woman, because a lot of these things are pretty universal. And today we're diving into something that can feel very small in the moment, but it's actually a life-changing thing over time, and it is shifting your perspective. And that is for sure a very universal topic. I start each session with my clients with a celebration, and over time, that starts to shift your brain from focusing on ways that you think that you're still lacking and instead focusing on the progress that you are making. And recently, one of my clients sent me a text that said, even small steps should be celebrated, right? And my response to her was, every step should be celebrated and none of them are small. So the shift in perspective, while it may seem kind of small and that's the category that you want to put it in, let me be clear, there is nothing small about a shift in your perspective. It is a huge thing, and I want you to celebrate it as if you have just won a world record-setting Olympic gold medal. It is huge. Okay, so let's get to it. So chances are that you tend to notice things that maybe most people don't. Maybe you notice a change in someone's tone or a slight sigh or just like a look, and you pick up on the subtle cues that are happening around you, and instantly your brain starts assigning meaning to them. The problem with that can be when the meaning that you have assigned it is inaccurate. So maybe someone has like a really sharp tone, and I know I have done this plenty of times in my life. There's that shift in their tone, and I immediately am thinking, oh my goodness, did I do something wrong? Is she upset with me? What have I done? And I start like ruminating over like the last 10 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever the case may be, like trying to replay in my mind what I have done to create this tone. And what if the reality is that that's just her natural tone of voice and it wasn't personal at all? Because so many things can contribute to a person's tone. And the gift in our sensitivity is that we notice things. The challenge is that we can very easily make some assumptions, we can misinterpret, and then we carry that weight with us, and it was never ours to carry. And it becomes this giant, giant burden. And today I just want to walk through some perspective shifts to help you kind of lay that burden down and, again, celebrate like crazy when you notice yourself having these perspective shifts, because when you catch yourself doing it, then you become more likely to do it again and again and again. And it could be that you catch yourself with a different perspective in the moment, or it could be hours or days later when you're replaying the situation in your mind, when you recognize and have a different perspective about it. And it doesn't really matter when it happens. It's just when you notice that you have had a shift in perspective, that you are celebrating like, again, like you have just won an Olympic gold medal and set a world record and the crowd is going crazy. So, number one shift in perspective is that tone isn't always about me. Again, we can be so tuned into someone's tone of voice that we can just assume that it's about us, and that if it's like a real sharp tone, or maybe there's no affect at all, we're very perceptive and we pick up on all of the different things. But sometimes it's really not about you. It could be that that person is under immense stress from something completely unrelated to you, or maybe they're just really tired, or maybe it has to do with where they were raised, or maybe it's just their personality. Who knows? But I find that when I pause and I remind myself that a person's tone is not always about me, I can stop the spiral before it starts. And instead of jumping into that self-blame or that over-analysis, I can take a breath and I can think and ponder, like, this might not actually be mine. And it's very freeing. Shift number 2, different doesn't equal wrong. So this perspective shift has been such a blessing for me to realize that just because I do something differently from others, it doesn't make it wrong. One of the things is that sometimes I can take longer to make decisions than some of my friends. I also prefer a quiet night in, probably a little more frequently than some others who thrive being on the go all the time. And for sure, I process emotions more deeply, while others can maybe move on a little bit quicker. And for a long time, I labeled those differences as flaws, or that my way of going through life was wrong and that the other person's way was right. And for sure, there was a time in my life where I thought that about the people who were closest to me, and that was really, really difficult. But the truth is, there is no right or wrong. It's just different. And your pace and your preferences and the way that you are in the world, they're all valid. And you don't have to look at someone else and think that they're right. Your way is right, if that's the word that you want to give it. But really, there's no right or wrong, just different. Perspective shift number 3, their reaction belongs to them. Whoo, mercy. This one is kind of a tough one at times, but it's also huge that other people's reactions are theirs to carry. They are not mine. So if someone seems distracted or maybe moody, it's very easy, very, very easy to assume that it is because of me, because of something I've said or done or not said or not done. But a lot of times their mood, their reaction, it is attributable to their day, to their stress, to whatever's happening in their inner world. And it's not mine to own. It is theirs to own. And this gives permission to release what isn't mine to fix. Now, we are very, very compassionate people, and so it is perfectly fine to hold some compassion for those who might be in a very stressful season or having a difficult day. Yeah, absolutely have compassion for that, but try to notice if you are taking ownership of their emotions, because those are their emotions to own and not yours. And the fourth shift in perspective that I want to talk about today is that neutral is an option. It's so simple, but it just might be a huge change for you, that sometimes things are just neutral and not every look, every comment, every tone, every sigh, whatever the case may be, has any hidden meaning. Sometimes they're just words, just a look, just a moment. And our default, I know for sure mine has been for a number of years, and I have worked really hard to get to this place of neutral being an option. But our default can tend to be that everything has a meaning. But sometimes it just doesn't. And the idea of neutral being an option, even before you get to the point of accepting that neutral is in fact an option, just the idea or the possibility that neutral is an option, this realization can bring so much relief and really calm that inner conflict. So these 4 shifts in perspective. Tone isn't always about me. Different doesn't equal wrong. Their reaction belongs to them. And neutral is an option. None of those erase your sensitivity. They actually help you work with it, because when you start recognizing that everything isn't about you and you can let some of that go, and that you don't have to take on other people's emotions and things, and that sometimes it's just neutral, it's very freeing. It allows you to tap into your sensitivity when you really need it. So this week, I invite you to notice one place where you could shift your perspective and potentially lighten your load. And then I want you to celebrate it, like really, really, really celebrate it. Tell someone, tell me, tell a friend, like celebrate it for yourself, and then invite others to celebrate with you, because it is a really big deal. And freedom doesn't always come from changing ourselves. Sometimes it just comes from the way that we see ourselves. So I want to leave you with something that popped up on my Facebook memories from 5 years ago. And it was a quote that then I shared. So first, the quote. I used to dislike being sensitive. I thought it made me weak. But take away that single trait and you take away the very essence of who I am. You take away my conscience, my ability to empathize, my intuition, my creativity, my deep appreciation for the little things, my vivid inner life, my deep awareness of others' pain, and my passion for it all. And this quote is by Caitlin Joppa. 5 years ago, I shared this quote and I wrote, I desperately need to believe this, but right now, all I want is to stop feeling everything I'm feeling. Right now, dislike doesn't even come close to expressing how much I wish I was not a highly sensitive person. Can I just tell you what the last 5 years and shifting perspective and learning how to accept my sensitivities and work with them and how to use them for my good has been absolutely incredible. And I just want to say, never underestimate the power of a shift in perspective and some self-acceptance. And along my journey, I have had the privilege of working with other women and helping them shift their perspective and grow in their self-acceptance. And if you would like some help on your journey, I would love the opportunity to chat with you and see if we might be a good fit. You can send me a message and we can just have a conversation. Until then, take care. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If so, would you take 30 seconds and share it with a friend who may be feeling like she's broken too? I'd love it if you'd leave a quick review for the show on Apple Podcasts. It brings me so much joy to know this podcast is helping you. Now it's time for me to stop talking and go soothe my senses in nature. I'll meet you back here next week for another episode. Take care.